Okay, today we're going to start Kuf Tesvav 115, 115a, but on the bottom. I can't remember if I uploaded the share yesterday. Okay, I'll have to check. Yeah, there's a Mishnah. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. In this chus of our learning, we should have the basic Mikdash. We're also learning this chus of the memory of Zahava Golda Basparach Binyamin. Thank you. Also, anyone that needs refuah shleima. Thank you.
What would you do without those? What would be over?
So I'm not going to be here tomorrow or Sunday, but Mitzvah Shem tonight, if we could learn, we'll try to finish 117. Let's say we do today 116. Let's try. Let's move quickly. And if we can do tonight 117, that would leave Dr. Stein if he wants to do Friday. That would be 118. And then on Sunday we could do 119 or something like that. So
I could do 119 on Sunday, but I can't do Friday.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. And then on Monday, Mitzvah Shem, I have in the car the new Matthias. I have the new Gemaras. Okay. The Mishnah says, I have two people walking. One person has a barrel of wine. Other person has a jug of honey. Turns out that the honey is more expensive than wine. Depends which type of honey, which type of wine. But in this case, the honey is more expensive. It takes more effort for the bees to make honey than it does for the humans to make wine. Well, Nistika Chavashal Dvash, it cracked the barrel of honey. So the one that has the lesser value, which is the wine, spills out his wine to be able to salvage the honey.
The wine is cheaper.
The wine is cheaper. So afterwards he says, okay, pay me for my wine. The guy says, no, you poured that out on your own initiative. I'm only paying you as a worker. And I'm also paying for the rental fee for the barrel. If he tells him, I'm willing to save what you're losing here, but I want to be paid for it. I want you to pay for the loss of wine. I'm spilling out the wine to be able to have an empty barrel. Then then he has to give it to him because that was what he told him. If the guy has to accept, that's a whole discussion. But if he has to verbally accept, meanwhile, that's what he said. Okay, Shataf Nochal Chamayre v'Chamar Chaveri. Let's say the stream is washing away two donkeys. Sometimes people go to the beach and they leave their things over there on the beach, and then like the big wave comes back and takes away all the shoes. There you go. So you run out to salvage. So one guy has an expensive pair. So Shalai Yafamana. Over here it's a donkey. His donkey is worth 100 coins. Shal Chaverim Masayim. His friend's donkey is worth 200. He says, I'm going to salvage my friend's. It's more expensive. So he only gets paid as a worker for his time. He doesn't get paid for the 100 coins that he lost for losing his shoes, or here the donkey losing his donkey because he had that opportunity and he missed it. He doesn't get paid for that. But if he stipulated that I'm willing to save yours, but you're going to have to pay me for mine, then he's going to have to pay him.
Usually the story of the honey, with the whole thing with the donkeys carrying the flags. Why did they change it?
That was another case in a brisa. It was carrying wood and carrying flax. That was another case. Yeah.
Usually they bring the honey and the flags.
That's only because we saw it in another, quoting the brisa. This was actually quoted on 37, exactly this Mishnah. 27A. Okay. The Gemara asks an interesting question. Why does he have to even give him any of the honey? He could say, it's all mine. You lost it. You didn't have a chance. When, as it was spilling out, it was all being lost. If not for me, I'm the one that saved it, so I got it from Hefker. Imagine this with the Brinks truck, it opens up. It's all Hefker. It's not really Hefker. So they have a security guard there. But over here, it's just going to get lost. It's going to drip on the floor. It's going to get lost. So he salvaged it from Hefker. Milay Tanya was not taught in a brisa. Look, we have a story. Someone that was carrying jugs of wine and jugs of oil, and he saw that they were breaking. Okay, so lo yoimar, he shouldn't say he's not allowed to even give it to the kohen as truma. They'll say, remember the story with the guy that owed $10,000? He the Fabrangen. The Rebbe says, right, everyone should empty their pockets, whatever they have, give to tzedakah. So he quickly paid his friend back. He said, here, it's yours. So over here, he's losing his wine and his oil, and because the barrels are broken. So he quickly says, it's truma and meiser for all the things on my. Okay, so that let the kohen lose it, right? He's not allowed to do that. Why not? Because it's considered hefker. It's considered lost. Once it's of it, it's a davar of it. It's lost. Vim amar, and if he actually says it, it's considered nothing. It's almost like ownerless. So you can't do that. So over here, you're telling me that he can't keep the honey. He has to give the honey to the other guy. He just gets paid as a worker. But we find by truma and meiser that he doesn't even own it. It's like as if no one owns it. It's considered lost. My answer is Kadam Rabbi Yirmiyah. Last Rabbi Yirmiyah answered later on. He says, Kashekel Besabat Karachala, Hakanami Kashekel Besabat Karachala. We're talking about there was a basket that was wrapped around the barrel, and it wasn't really entirely lost. It was dripping slowly. So it's not like it was totally hefker over here. It wasn't like it was washed away by the river, where whatever you salvage from that is you consider you can keep. You have to figure out what to buy the donkey, but at least this is an answer for the barrel, that it wasn't totally lost, because it was just dripping out. It wasn't cracked, and everything is going to be lost. Okay. Now the Gemara says, if he says that it should be truma, he doesn't say it. It's not considered truma. 1 second. But Tanya, we have a brisa similar to this, where it doesn't work out like that. It's exactly the opposite. It says, Misha babaderech, someone that's on the road, or most be other. He has money in his hands. Va'anas kenegde, and there's a robber that's coming. Lo yoimar hari perish sheyesh lebetech beisim machlolam al ma'isel. Halalo. Shouldn't say that I have fruits at home that's ma'aser sheni, and those fruits need to be redeemed. So here I have money, and I'm about to lose this money. Someone's about to grab it from me. Quickly say, I'm sure they do this often with business things. They quickly do some quick sales here and there. But anyway, he quickly says, it's ma'aser sheni. So im amar dvarv kayam, if he says so, it's going to be acceptable. Why you tell me before by the oil and the wine that's cracked, so that he can't say that? Over here, the reason why it's acceptable is because he could salvage it. He could save it. If he's able to save it away from this robber, then why shouldn't he be able to say it? No. Yachal Hatzel is backed by the wine and the oil. Over there, which one can he save?
Is a case where he is capable of saving the money.
Saving the money. Is he able to save the money? Okay. So even by the money we say right? You shouldn't say it initially. You shouldn't say that this is a redemption for your ma'aser sheni. So if he's able to save, then why shouldn't he be able to say it even initially? My answer is that it's not so simple for him to save it. So therefore, lechatchila, he shouldn't say that this is considered ma'aser sheni, redeem his ma'aser sheni. But if he did say it, that's acceptable. Gemara asks, anytime that there's potential loss, you shouldn't use that to salvage, to save ma'aser sheni or something like that. You notice you can only use money that doesn't take effort to save, to redeem ma'aser sheni. But Tanya, you have a price like this. Let's see, there's a Levi that he has 10 barrels of trumas meiser, of meiser. There's 10 barrels of meiser. He has to take one of them and make it into truma, because you give the Levi the meiser, then the Levi has to separate 1/10 of that to give it to the kohen. It's called meiser mina meiser, a tenth of a tenth. He gives that to the kohen. So he has these 10 barrels. The only problem is that they're all tamei. And basically, if it's truma, you can't eat it. He sees that one of them is breaking. It's breaking. And one of them, or possibly it was left open. No, those days it was a problem. Anything that was left open overnight wasn't considered edible or for almost any use. There was no use for it because there was possibly a snake venom was in it, and you couldn't use it for anything. Well, Omer, he says, Harehi chumas meiser al tesha chavriseh. This barrel, which no one can use anyway, this one should be chumas meiser, the gift to the kohen, the broken one, or the one that's exposed, should be the gift to the kohen. And the other ones, he's able to eat. He's able to eat. He's allowed to eat it. It's only the chumas meiser that's when truma that's tamei, you basically can't do anything with it. Now there are two exceptions. You can't eat the truma that's tamei, but let's say if it's wine in those days used to be used as perfume. They would pour it in a room. It would give a scent, an aroma to the room, and then the oil was allowed to be used to burn. Shemen Shreifa. Remember in the Mishnah in Leib Shemen Shreifa, Mishnah in Ketzad, Bameh Madlikin. Says what oils are you allowed to use? One of them is you're not supposed to use Shemen Shreifa. This the oil that's tamei. Okay. Well, it says so. There's a difference between wine and oil here. The wine you're allowed to make it into truma, and by the oil leyasakein may have kohen because the wine is a bigger loss than the oil. Okay, wine you could burn. Wine you could pour and it gives off a scent, but the oil that you could burn and that's the bigger loss. So
I heard back then wine was cheaper than water.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know. I never noticed that in the Gemara. Maybe in other times. I know there were times in I think it was in like the 1500s, places in France, that they couldn't drink the water, but they could drink the wine. It was a big problem. It's Jewish people drinking non-Jewish wine. It was,
and it was really expensive. That's why we have the process in the Mary for Motzi Shabbos. Because a lot of people couldn't do hotel.
oh, the wine could have been expensive. Yeah. Okay, they can do Havdalah for other things. So I'm a Rabbi Yirmiyah. So what's our question? Our question here is: you told me that anything that to salvage it is you shouldn't say it. You shouldn't say that this is truma. But we said by the wine you are able to say that it's truma. I'm Rabbi Yirmiyah. We're talking about over here. This is the original case of Rabbi Yirmiyah. That when you told me that the barrel was broken, it wasn't really broken. It was broken. It was dripping a little bit. Okay. The Gemara says Bishlam Mishnah Nishbrachazia. I get what you're talking about when it was broken. You could still do something with that wine. You could pour it and use it as perfume. Ela Niskalsa. But if the wine was left open, Lamai Chazia, what can you do with it? What are you saying that you give it to the kohen? It's basically useless. Maybe you can still pour it. You can use it as perfume. You could pour it. It's an air freshener, not like a perfume on the body. But Tanya, but we have a brisa that says Mayim sheniskalu, water that was left open overnight. You shouldn't pour it into the public area. You shouldn't use it to mix cement. You shouldn't use it to clean the floor. You shouldn't use it to feed your animal or your friend's animal. You really shouldn't be doing anything with this wine. Can't even pour it. Can't even use it to wash the floor.
You can't sell it.
Well, no one's going to want to do anything. It's useless. We're talking about that you poured it through a strainer. Like Reb Nechemia holds that you can strain it. You strain it means like you put it through a filter. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Here we're talking about a strainer. We're talking about that there was two levels, a vessel on top of another vessel, and you would put on the top like a percolator type of thing, like like the coffee thing. But you would pour it through the top, and it would go to the bottom. You would put on the top the peels and different things of the wine, and then you would let it drip through. Okay, so now it says like this: if it's left open, the top would be open, the bottom would be covered by the strainer. It's still a problem. You have to cover the top one, even though the wine is dripping down into the bottom one, but it's still a problem. Reb Nechemia says, "Hey, Masai, when would it be a problem? That's only if the bottom one is exposed. You don't have to be worried about the top being open because the venom of the snake, it stays on the top. So when you lift out the filter, you're going to lift up the venom, and it's going to come out. So basically, Rabbi Nechemia holds that you can remove the venom with a strainer. The Gemara says, that would only be if you didn't move it around. Tarko, I think, means to shake, right? It didn't mix it. Aval tarko, but if you mixed it, then aser, then it's a problem. Because over here, when you're going to pour it, it's going to be mixing. It says Hasanami over there also after the manach media puma de chavisa de shafile. It's possible that when you pour it, you put something at the end like a cloth, and as you pour it out, it's going to stay behind. It's according to Reb Nechemia. Okay, Reb Nechemia. Basically, according to Reb Nechemia, we have a use for tamei wine that you could pour it through a strainer that was exposed overnight. You can pour it through a strainer and you can use it as perfume. The Reb Nechemia mi tarminan. According to Reb Nechemia, you're allowed to separate tamei wine, another tamei wine, as truma. Here we're talking about that the Levi had 10 barrels. And he's separating one of them for trumas meiser, one that broke, right, or the one that was exposed. But we have a general question. If you're going according to Reb Nechemia has an opinion about this that says that you're not allowed to use tamei wine as meiser, as trumas meiser, even if all the wine is tamei. It says like this. But Tanya, we have a brisa that says tamei min tamei ala tamei. You're allowed to take truma from something that's tamei on something else that's tamei. No worse than the rest of the produce. Uminatar alatar, you're allowed to take for sure from something that's pure on something else that's pure. Minatar alatam, you're allowed to take pure on something that's impure. Avalei minatami alatar, but you're not allowed to take something that's tamei as truma. You're not allowed to separate this truma, that the tamei part give to the kayan and the tahar part you keep for yourself. That you're not allowed to do. So far so good, because so far we said that tamei ala tamei, if they're both tamei, it's not a problem. However, the problem is Reb Nechemia Eimer af min tamei ala tamei la yitir l'chemela b'shel demai. Even to take something that's tamei as truma on the produce that's tamei, that you're also not allowed to do unless we're dealing with demai, which is produce that is in a doubt if it needs to be if it needs truma needs to be taken because it was purchased from an amaretz that we don't know if it was fixed.
Didn't we say before that we should always take?
We take, but we take because of a doubt.
Yeah, but.
So here, when it's a doubt and it's only rabbinic, we allow you to use, Reb Nechemia allows you to use tamei on tamei. My answer is very easy. Hachanam b'shel demai. That brisa that we quoted, where the Levi had 10 barrels, is talking about demai. Okay. Amar Mar, the master taught. Hashem leyasa came kayan. By oil, you shouldn't separate it as truma, because the kayan is going to be losing out. Gemara has a question. What's the difference? By the wine, you said it wasn't a problem if you did it. You weren't supposed to do it, but if you did it, it wasn't a problem. By the oil, you said you can't do it. No, I'm sorry. By the wine, you're allowed to do it lechatchila, and by the oil, you're not allowed to do it lechatchila. So what's the difference? It says, if you're going to say the oil is a loss because you could light it, but the wine is a loss because you could pour it. You could pour it, means that you could use it as perfume. Because both of them is going to be a loss to the kayan. If the barrel broke and all the wine is dripping out, and you say that's the one that's the truma, so the kayan is now either losing oil for his lamps, or he's going to be losing perfume for his house, either the wine or the oil. And you said by the wine, it's not a problem to cause him that loss, and by the oil, we said it is a problem to cause the kayan that loss. If you say that pouring that wine as a perfume is not considered any value, and so therefore it's not a real loss for him, the fact that it's dripping out, because well, okay, you could have used it as a perfume. That's nothing. The problem is Vamar Shmuel, but Shmuel says Mishum Rabchia, in the name of Rabchia, Shaisin Milug Besela. Wine that you drink, you buy cheap wine. One lug costs a sela. But Mizalfin, wine that you smell, that you use for perfume, that's Milug Bishtayim, that's double the price.
Are we saying that oil for clothing is more valuable?
No. What we're saying over here is that he has a bunch of barrels that's all tummy. Basically, the kayan can't use this oil in his cooking. He has to give one of them to the kayan. So it's all tummy. He's going to give it to the kayan. The kayan's just going to use it in his lamp. Then he sees one of the barrels crack and it's dripping out. He says, okay, that's the one that's for the kayan. Now he's causing the kayan a loss because now the kayan couldn't use it for cooking anyway. But now he can't use it even for his lamp, for the candles. So we said that's why you're not supposed to do it. By the wine, if it's the same story with wine, you said, okay, that's the one that's dripping out, that's the one for the kayan. So we said that probably because the wine is cheaper and it's not much of a loss for him anyway, it's a big deal. The problem is here we're saying that wine that's used for perfume is even more expensive than regular wine. So the Gemara answers, we're talking about that this wine wasn't even eligible for perfume because it was new wine. It was like grape juice. It doesn't give off a scent. It doesn't have this scent. The Gemara says, but you're allowed to leave it around. Leave it around. It will age, and then it's going to get better. The Gemara says, you're not allowed to leave it around. You basically have to pour it out, because if you leave it around, you may end up saying, oh yeah, you need some more wine for Kiddush. I think I have a barrel. I saw it over there. And you forget that it was tummy. So you have to get rid of it. You shouldn't age it. You can't age it. So the oil also, if you leave it around, it's going to become, you may end up drinking it, and it's tummy, and it's a problem. You can't leave it around. So it says the manach b'klima. So talking about that the oil was put into a disgusting vessel where you'll never come to eat from it. So that's not a problem. You put it into a can that they use for watering flowers or something. Something that you leave outside, not something pretty. So yayanami kamanach levikleimas. It says, what about the wine? Put the wine into the same thing and then age it, and then it's going to be good, and then it could be all the same loss. Says hostel zilif kaboile. If you need it for perfume, you think he's going to leave it in a watering can in an old thing? Okay. Now this discussion about leaving something around that's really tame. Are you allowed to leave it? It may cause a what's that noise?
But I've never heard it before.
It may cause come to a stumbling because someone may end up eating it. This is actually a machlekes tanaim if this is a real concern for us. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. If you have a barrel of wine of truma that became tummy, Bishami says you have to spill the whole thing out. Bishami is concerned that if you leave it around, you're going to end up eating it. Bishal says no, you can use it for perfume. Shmuel bar Yesi says I can say the middle opinion between Bishami and Bishil. And usually what we say is like this, that if there's two opinions, this is the Venn diagram in the Gemara. We have two opinions, Bisham and Bishil. So comes along someone else and he says, he does that a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So what comes out is, and that area, that overlapped area of Bishil, I have two opinions now. I have Rabbi Shmuel plus Bishil, because over there it's overlapping. And over here by Rabbi Shmuel, in this case, it's overlapping. So that's considered the majority over. So in each case, I have a majority, right? If there would be two cases. So Rabbi Shmuel bar Beis says, you remember Basil said that you're allowed to pour it? That's talking about it was in the house. You're going to use it right away, so pour it right away. It's not a problem. Besada, but in the field, where you have to schlep it home, then tishaf chakal, you should pour it out, because while you're bringing it home, it could be that you're going to end up drinking it or something, and that could cause a stumbling. So if you're able to use it right away, so what Rabbi Shmuel bar Beis is trying to do is trying to say that we have a hachra here. We have a middle view, and the halacha would be like the hachra because he's the majority. Ikadamri, there are those that say biyashin tasizilaf. If it's old, then you could do the pouring, and that's what Beisel said. B'chadash, but if it's new, tishaf echakol, then you have to pour it out. That's what Beis Shammai said. Amrullah, but they said to him, ein hachra shlishim achras. We can't accept your hachra, because if Beis Shammai would have said, I don't care if it's in the house or in the field, you have to pour it out. Beisil says, I don't care if it's in the house or the field, you can use it for perfume. Then we would say that Rabbi Shmuel comes along and says, when Beis Shammai said in the house and in the field, I don't agree with, but I agree with him if it's in the field. But if it's in the house, then I would say that you're allowed to pour it. And when Beis Hillel said, I don't care when it's in the house and the field, you're allowed to pour it, I don't agree with him in the field that you're allowed to do that. But in the house, I would agree. So therefore, what would come out is Rabbi Shmuel would be accepting part of Beis Shammai, part of Beis Hillel, and that would double over. That would be the majority. But because Rabbi Shmuel because Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai never mentioned the house and the field, each one was entirely that wasn't part of this. So then it's just considered a third opinion. And a third opinion doesn't mean that that's the halacha. I don't know why we even need a achra here. I mean, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, the halacha should be like Beis Hillel. But it turns out that looks like the halacha is like Beis Shammai. All right. Next Gemara. Im Amar la shalcha chulo. If he says, I'll save yours, but I want to be paid for it, so then he gets paid for it. Amai, why? Let's say the person could tell him, let the person tell him, I was just tricking you. Right? He's about to lose his honey. The guy says, I'll save your honey, but I want to be paid for my wine. He says, yeah. So we said, maybe afterwards he could say, I was tricking you. Where do you get such a concept? Milai Tanya, we have a brisa. There's a guy that's running away from the prison. And he has there's a boat. A ferry. He has to get over the ferry. So Amalai told dinar of Avireni. He says, take a dinar and get me over to the other side quickly. Alcatraz. Ein la yala schare. You only pay. He only gets what the actual cost of the ferry is. He doesn't get paid the full dinar. He said a dinar. He said I was just rushing you. I said a dinar, but I didn't really mean that. I was just tricking you. I wanted to get over quickly.
He gets to the other side.
He gets to the other side. He just gives him the regular ferry price. Alma, we see. You're allowed to say that in times of distress. You're allowed to say that I was tricking you. So you said I said that I would pay you for your wine. I was just tricking you. I wanted you to save the honey. The Gemara says, you can't compare El Seifa. Compare it to what it says further. It says if he tells him, take this dinar for your wages, then he has to pay him the full dinar. What's the difference between the first case and the next case? Here he says, I'll pay you a dinar. Here he says, I'll pay you a dinar for your wages. Over there, it was talking about that he was a fisherman. And he says, I want you to use your boat to take me across as a ferry. So he says, I lost fish while I was I could have caught some fish. And so therefore, I want to be paid the full dinar. So over here as well, the guy's pouring out his wine. There is an actual loss there. It's not just like, I'll pay you double your fee. It was an actual loss. He has to pay for that. Okay, we had two cases here. One was pouring out his wine in order to save the honey. The other one was letting his own donkey get washed away while he saves his friend's donkey, which was worth more. Why do we need two cases to tell me this exact same halacha? You're going to do this. You can say every possible case. You can say the case with his shoes on the beach, and you can say there's a million cases that you can say. It says tzricha. We need these two cases. The Yashmin and Kamaisif would only say the honey. Over there, it's when he says what I'm going to do, so then he gives him the money because he's actually pouring out his wine with his own hands in order to save this guy's thing. But over here, it's getting lost on its own. Who's to say that he's supposed to pay him for his donkey that's getting washed away? He's not the one that threw the donkey in. He just didn't salvage it. Maybe he shouldn't get paid for his donkey. There was the water that was washing it. There, he actually poured it out just to save him. But here, he just didn't save it. Maybe he's also a little lazy. Maybe, how do you know that it's that he should get paid for the donkey? I'm sorry? He asked before, if it's Yush, then he should be able to keep it. If it's Hefker. He said, no, it's you're able to save it. It's not Mamash Hefker. Both cases. It can't be that he Yashmin and Seifa. And if we would just say the case with the donkey, over here, we say that he probably doesn't get paid if he doesn't say anything. Because the donkey is just getting washed away. But over there by the wine, when he's actually pouring out the wine with his hands, I could have thought that maybe you have to pay him for the wine, even if he doesn't say that I'm doing this only if you pay me for the wine, because he's pouring it out by directly with his hands. So we need both cases.
Quick question. Doesn't really make sense to me why someone would let their donkey get washed away so he could save someone else's donkey, unless he says, hey, here comes this terrible tide. Both these donkeys are going to die. You know, if I save mine, I'm not going to get any money out of this. My donkey isn't really worth much.
Right.
If I say, yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm saying he's doing it for money and he's letting the donkey die.
Yeah. He's saving the other donkey. He can only save one. So he saves the expensive one.
That doesn't apply to people.
No.
Good. I just want to.
But there is a discussion in Bab Metzia about who to save. Your teacher or your father or the thing. Yeah, there's a whole discussion.
That's also a weird discussion.
Let's discuss it when we get there on Monday and on. Okay, Rav Kana asked Rav a question. the Rav Khan and Rav are very important in the end of Kamma. Let's see. Yarad lahatzil, if he went to save va'olah shalei me'elav, and he was supposed to get paid for his own donkey because that's what he made up with the guy. But it turned out that his own donkey ended up walking up on the other side. So Mahu, it managed to get out. So does he now have two donkeys? He gets paid because he made up that he wants to get paid, and sure enough, he got the lottery. He won right. Amalei, so Rav said Mishmai Rachim Malay gets paid, plus he gets his donkey. That's a heavenly gift. He had Rav Safra, just like Rav Safra, because of B'Shirasa. He was going on a caravan. Lavino Ari Kalalayla, there was a lion that was accompanying him the whole night. Now, Kashad Lechamra Dechad Minayo, they kept sending one donkey from each person to feed the lion so that he doesn't come and attack. Remember the lamb with the sheep in the zoo? They had this exhibition, the lamb, the wolf with the sheep, and it was in the same cage. How did they do that? Because they gave it a lamb every day, a new lamb every day. So how'd they survive? They gave the donkey to the lion. And he ate it. Kimat Zimna de Rav Safra, came Rav Safra's turn. Rav Safra has to throw his donkey to the lion. Suddenly Chamri threw it, but the lion didn't eat it.
He said the first one he didn't. But
The lion would always eat the donkeys they were sending it.
But he didn't this time.
This time he didn't eat it. So Kadim Rav Safra V'Zacharbe, Rav Safra ran out and grabbed his donkey back. So he saved it. He was afraid that it would have been hefker. So he saved it. So over here also, he got it from hefker, and it's his. Back to the case where his own donkey gets saved, so he can keep the donkey. Why does he have to go and acquire it again, Rav Safra? He never gave it to everyone. He gave it to the lion. It was a gift to the lion. The lion didn't take it. Doesn't mean everyone can now take it. Sometimes in the classroom, in the schoolroom, a kid has some snack. So he asks his friend, "Would you like some of the snack?" So the guy says, "No, I don't want." Someone else says, "Okay, I'll take it." So I wasn't offering it. You're not my. So over here, he never offered it to everyone. He offered it to the lion. Why does he have to go and acquire it again, as if like he's taking it from Amalei Rav Safra? Amalei. This is important. You have the pencil. Amalei. It's not Amalei Rav Safra. Amalei Rav Safra l'Ravcha d'Mosa David. Rav Safra was just doing extra. That wasn't necessary. It wasn't mamish hefker here. Okay. Just to make sure no one has a claim. Okay. Rav asked Rebbe a question. Before it was Rav Kana asking Rav. He says, "I want to be paid for my donkey," and then he goes and save the expensive donkey, but he doesn't make it back. He doesn't end up saving it. He makes it back, but the donkey doesn't make it. So Mao Amaloi V'zu Shaila, you think this is a question? He can't be paid for his own donkey if he didn't save the other person's donkey. He said, "I'll go and save your donkey as long as you pay for mine," and he ends up not saving any. So he doesn't get paid for his donkey, but he does get paid for his work, for his effort, for his time.
Even though he was not successful.
Even though he wasn't successful. Kumar has a question. Rav asks a question to Rebbe. Says, someone hires a worker, Lahari Kruv, with Dermuskanen Lachayla. Bring some cabbage. Kruv is cabbage, right? Cabbage soup, cabbage and plums. Dermuskanen is plums for to a sick person. Prunes. Okay, plums, prunes. They told me that's the same thing. So when he gets back, he finds that the person he was bringing it for had died. Or he doesn't need it anymore. He's healthy. So they have to give him the full payment. 1 second. If it's not necessary, why are they giving him the full payment? It was like it was like an unsuccessful mission. Just like over there, he went to save the donkey and he lost it. He doesn't get paid full. Over here, he's getting paid full. Like Gemara answers, Amalei Midami. Rebbe answers to Rav, can you compare? Over there, it's not that he wasn't successful. He was very successful. He brought back exactly what he was sent to do. Just either the person died or the person became healthy. But Hacha over here, he did not do his mission. He meant to save and he didn't end up saving it. It drowned. Tanarabanan. There's a caravan that's going in the desert. The Gaius is some soldiers or something, right? Bandits. They're going to like tear apart this. Going to take everything. They're hijackers. They say we need a certain amount of money. So how does everyone pay that? Does everyone give the same amount, or does everyone give the amount based on how much money they had with them? Right? They said, if you give us this amount, we'll let you take the rest of your items and go. So it says that you calculate how much money everyone has, not how many people there were. But let's say they hired a guard. Here it's a guide, but he's a guide with a gun. That what goes in the front. Then they calculate according to the people. In other words, everyone has to pay the guard in the front to equally. Okay.
So that's like the first one.
Different than the first one. And you can't change whatever the custom is of the donkey drivers. If they switch it, if this custom in this donkey in this place is to give according to how much money you're taking with you, so then that's different. The donkey drivers can say that, look, if one of us loses a donkey, then we'll replace it. But that's an arrangement that they made amongst themselves. One person has two donkeys and one only has one. His died, so everyone that has an extra donkey has to supply with. So bekusia, that means if it was done with negligence that he lost his donkey, ein mamid, then he doesn't get one. That's not part of this. Shalei bekusia, but if it's not with negligence, mamid, then they give him. If he said, don't give me a donkey, just give me money, and I'll what's he going to do, Eshmar? And I'll guard by night. I'll purchase my own, but I'll still do what everyone else does. But I'll still participate in whatever things the caravan requires. Ain't Shaimalai, we don't listen to him. Umar says, Pshita, this is obvious that we're not going to listen to him. We could have thought that maybe we should listen to him because he actually has another donkey. We could think that maybe he's going to be able to watch. We say that if he has two donkeys, then he's going to watch much better than if he has more. We're talking about, I think that they had to watch the donkeys at night or something. So if he has two in the air, he's going to watch better than if he only has one in there. So that's why they actually replaced the donkey. Does that make sense from the commentary there? Show me the thing. I could have thought that since he is guarding that donkey, it is not necessary to purchase a second donkey. Bryce must therefore inform us that a person guarding one donkey is different than guarding his two donkeys. The more animal he has, the greater his commitment. Therefore, even if he still has a donkey in the caravan, his companions are within their rights to demand that he take a second donkey rather than cash.
The Taba says that they shouldn't give him the money because he might keep the money.
Right, exactly. And we want him to have another donkey because then he's going to watch better. Let's see if I can get to the. I'm going to rush. There's a boat that's at sea. Tidal wave comes. They have to get unload. How do they unload? Everyone has to throw over what? Throw over value or throw over weight? It says it's the weight, not the value.
Throw over Yonah.
And you don't change from the custom of the sailors. If they're going in a caravan of boats, so then they can make up. that anyone that loses a boat, we supply him with another boat, but everyone has to contribute to that. So that's like an arrangement they made amongst themselves. If he loses it with negligence, and then they don't give him. But if it's not negligence, then they give him. But if this guy goes to a place where the boats aren't supposed to go, and he goes there, and now he is demanding another boat, we don't give it to him. Pshita, of course he's not. He went to the wrong place, went into the dangerous area. We're talking about that this was the situation was that in the Nisan, when there's a lot of water, the water's high, then you would go only one rope length. But in Tishrei, where the water's low, then you would go 2 ropes length for out. He went to the place where they do sometimes go, but in the other season. So you could think that maybe he knows he's doing his habit and it's acceptable. We say it's not acceptable because at this time of the year you can't do that. Tana Rabban was taught in a brisa. They have a caravan that's in the desert. And these bandits come. One of them stood up, and he saved from the bandits. Everyone gets their money back. Right? He didn't just save like it for himself. Everyone gets. He says, I'm saving only for myself. So he saved it all for himself. What's going on? If the other people are, it's supposed to be a chaylin. If other people are able to save a safe lemtza, then even in the second case where he says I'm saving for myself, but it wasn't lost, they could also do the saving. So it should also be equal. And if they're not able to save a feel then why does he have to share it with them? Even in the first case where he didn't say anything, it's like getting something from the river, which gets washed away. He can keep it. Well, Amar Rabba Bar Bachana Maskino Rabba Bar Bachana. I'm sorry, Rami Bar Chama says we're dealing with partners. We were talking about can he divide his partnership up without his friend knowing? Omar, if he says it, then Polig, then it's a division, and he's not saving for his friend. But Layamar, if he doesn't say, then Lay Polig, then they're still partners, and when he saves for the company, sort of. Rava says, here we're dealing with workers. Just like Rav says, he's allowed to quit in the middle. If he's a worker, then he's saving for everyone else, because he's just a worker. Now, if he's saying, I'm an independent, and Rav says he's allowed to quit in the middle of the day. If he quits, then we have a reason for this. It says the Ksiv, the Jewish people are my slaves. Hashem is talking. And not slaves for others, slaves to slaves, which means they're allowed to quit whenever they want. He's able to save, they're able to save, but it's very difficult. If he says what he's doing, then it's latzmi, then it's for himself. Like Ali Daiti, if he doesn't say what he's doing, then it's lemta, then it's for everyone. Okay, let's leave it over here.
So you call out tonight.